sample of what this car can really do, because it's pretty impressive. The gearbox is really responsive. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Y2K. My name is Blake, and today we are going to be talking about our 9-year ownership and over 107,000 miles of time spent with this 2012 BMW X5M. This was my wife's daily driver for many years until we retired it for the GX550 Overtrail, which you've seen many videos on by now, documenting our kind of initial ownership with that vehicle. And we bought it with about 25,000 miles on it, and now it's at over 107,000, 107,439 to be exact. It's been a really great car, and today we're going to talk about what's been great and a couple little issues we've had. Being an older BMW, but we've really liked this car, and they've depreciated to the point now where about anyone could go out and buy one of these things. This was originally about a $96,000 vehicle, and today it's probably worth $10,000 to $15,000. A really nice one with no miles might be $25,000 to $30,000, but that would have to be like no miles and just mint condition. I think these have a pretty bright future, as they were the first real M, not an IS product like the 4.6 and 4.8 were. This was the real first M package, real M, SUV that BMW ever made. And it was the first one to kind of show what they were going to start doing with the turbo technology, with the hot V setup, which is, this motor's in every M product they pretty much make except for the M3, 4, and M2. So let's get out, just do a brief walk around. Now this car has been in the garage some, been out of it some as I buy more cars and kick this one out. But it's got some faded paint. These plastic fenders are kind of prone to that. It's got some rock chips, if you can see that coming through. Headlights actually aren't too bad, not too bad. A little bit faded, but my M3 is actually worse. I've got an E92 M3. It's a little bit windy, hopefully you can hear me. I just felt that gust come through. Huge brakes for the time, probably one of the biggest brakes fitted to an SUV at that point. This was faster than a Cayenne Turbo, faster than an ML55 or 63, whatever that was at that time. Great storage, if it'll let me open it. I have to unlock the door. I don't even know what's back there, honestly. We're about to find out. Power lift gate, which is standard in pretty much every SUV now. And it's got like some storage. You have to keep oil in this car. That's one thing we'll talk about. But just random stuff that's probably been in here for years. My wife doesn't even know it's in there, I bet. And got a little cargo tray, or cargo cover deal. But that is pretty much it. What is this? A little cigarette lighter for charging stuff. This interior is like an off-white, which in hindsight wasn't the best choice. We put dogs in this thing. See, there's even dog hair in here. Let's see, it's a little sticky. One of these is broken, that's broken. But it's held up pretty well, minus the seat color, which that's not this car's fault. I don't know if you can re-dye them or what, but take a look under the engine bay. This was 555, I believe, horsepower. 4.4 liter twin turbo. This thing's kind of like a little chattery. But that's all normal. It even makes kind of like a Tweety Bird sound sometimes when it's cold at low throttle application. But that's a hot V setup. This is all plastic covers you can take off, and the turbos are actually really easy to get to. It's got a lot of cooling. The fans stay on even after you turn it off for a while. You gotta keep that, all the turbos and that V8 cool. In this car, the way they kind of set up the firing order, it kind of sounds like a flat plane crank. It's not the most inspiring noise in the world, not like a Ferrari, but it kind of sounds like a hopped up rally car a little bit. So let's set off and see what we can talk to you about on this X5M. My wife's kind of hanging. It's a little memoir. Never drive faster than your guardian angel can fly. She's had that in every car since college that she's had. So it kind of dangles around. I just kind of catch it sometimes, but she likes to have that in there as a gift from her mom. So setting off, do some residential stuff. If you've seen cars I reviewed before or talked about, we usually take this kind of residential route past the beautiful bayou here in Florida. We make our way out onto the highway and get up to speed. So a few minutes here, and then we'll get up to a higher pace. We bought this car, just in general, going over the history, bought it in 2015, 25,000 miles on the clock. And we were the second owner. It was mint condition. My wife did tell me that she thought the seats were going to be a problem, and the color, it has been an issue. It's actually held up kind of maybe better than I thought it would, but if they were black, then it would be a lot better. So that's been a little bit of an annoyance, is trying to keep these seats clean, and I don't know if there's a way to resurrect them or not, but it's frustrating because this car drives really well, and that's just kind of one little grievance, one of the couple grievances I have with this car. But so yeah, we bought it in 2015, low mileage. It even still had like a year of warranty left, which was nice. So we kind of got to test drive it through that year and see if there would be any issues. We had a 4.8 2007 X5, a gray one, just the same color, sport package, that we traded in with a little over 80,000 miles. That was a great car. And of course, we're behind the code compliance officer, ladies and gentlemen. He's making sure you're complying to your codes. The code police. So we traded that car in. It was great. My wife always wanted the real deal X5M. I had bought an M3 not long before we bought this, and that was my daily driver, an E92 M3, which I've had on this channel before. So we were M&M, and she wanted to be that, and that's what we did. So this was her main vehicle for many years, up until about June, when we got the GX 550 Overtrail. So a very long time. Someone is not complying with their code, people. There's a sign in the right of way, they're going to take it out. Yeah, I mean, we've had it a long time, and she says that it's not for sale. So we have retired it into a different spot of the driveway, and she drives it maybe once a week, as long as I don't block it in with other cars, and she just enjoys having it around, and she likes it as like a family heirloom kind of thing. She's an SUV connoisseur. But it's been a good car. We haven't had too many major things go wrong. We had a TPMS sensor when we first bought it that we replaced, and I think that was under warranty. We did the normal recalls for the airbag and whatever else was going on, but the airbag was the main one I remember. And other than that, it's been pretty much routine maintenance. We did service the transmission fluid at around 100, and it was kind of having a little hiccup from, I think it was like 3rd to 4th, and that actually solved it. And I did a relearn on the transmission where I think you floor it for 30 seconds with the car off and it resets it or something. But so we did that. I did get an ESS tune for it fairly quickly after we bought it. So it should be around 600 horsepower. I didn't feel a huge gain like you normally would expect from a turbo car. But it was sharper, and it felt like it shifted a little bit quicker. And so it's quite fast. I recorded 0 to 60 on the Draggy. It's 4.22 seconds with rollout, which I was very impressed with. This is faster than a lot of cars, especially on the street from point to point on the road, unless it's like a Tesla. But in general, this car will keep up with or beat many things on your day-to-day drive, and I've experienced that on many road trips or just going around town. It's always nice to surprise somebody in a 12-year-old SUV. Yeah, Cybertruck right there, flat green, not too bad. Still getting used to seeing those on the road, but seeing more and more. So yeah, it's really fast. It stops pretty well. I will say the brakes, if you get into some tight corners and stuff and repeated use, they do kind of start to fade a little bit, so that's something to know. We switched out the rotors and the pads probably, I don't know, 10-20,000 miles ago, and I think these pads aren't the best because it seems like it used to stop a little bit better. One little issue I've noticed is when you hit the brake pedal kind of quickly, the steering wheel kind of jump a little bit, and I think that's a bushing I remember from our other E70. If you have one of these and you've experienced that, could you please comment down below and tell me what the name of that bushing is, because I can't freaking remember. And I want to replace it. Couldn't put new tires on it a couple of years ago. Those are always fun because they're like $2,000, and they're really wide. They're like 315 in the back and 275 in the front, which is why I think this is one of the best looking SUVs ever made, honestly. It's just the stance on it and the kind of the boxiness. It's got that good old-fashioned BMW design with the smaller grille, etc., that every one of their mom and dad rambles on about when they review the newer stuff. And I like this interior. It's very simple and everything's analog and easy to read. The handling on it is really good. It's a little more turns lock to lock than I would like to be considered like a true sports car kind of feel. But in general, I mean, this is like an M5 on stilts, which is, I mean, that's essentially what it is. But it's more practical, better vantage point out of the car. My wife likes being up higher, and as I drive more SUVs, I do prefer that, just kind of for everyday use and visibility and safety. But I mean, we have really no qualms. The biggest two things, and the first thing is, for me, the biggest right now, is these things like to drink oil. Like if you floor it, you might need to add a quart of oil in an X5M. I'm not sure. It seems to be quite common. I've researched it on various forums and stuff. It didn't do it as bad when it was newer, but as this engine's getting older, I think it's just things start to wear, tolerances change, and it just does tend to drink a little bit of oil, especially if you get on it. But it's not leaking oil or anything like that. I think that's just kind of the characteristic of this motor, especially as you get up there in the miles. I've seen these up to like 140, 150,000, not much past that. So let me know if you put over 150,000 on E70 X5. I'd be curious to see what your how your history's been once you kind of got up into these higher mileage brackets, and see what you have to say if we end up keeping this thing for the long haul, which has already been long, but even longer. So, but I don't know. It'd take a long time to get up to that mileage for us, just because it's not something we pull out of the garage every single day. I think now would be a good time to put it in M mode, sport, paddle down, full manual, and just kind of give you a sample of what this car can really do, because it's pretty impressive. The gearbox is really responsive. That was a good speed right there, and it's got some pops. This is when they started introducing the pops on the overrun and on the shifting. This is when they were going to that new, big torque turbo engine setup, and the naturally aspirated stuff was being phased out, like my E92 with the V8, last V8 M3, and the E60 M5, the last big dog, naturally aspirated V10 they ever put in a BMW. So this was kind of them doing their testing and trialing on where the future was going to go with all the M products, and pretty much every BMW now is they're all turbo or full electric or hybrid. So that is, you know, this was kind of the initial proving ground for that, I feel. I do think there was an E70, was it the 35? I think there was like a 50i, I think, for the E70 that was a twin turbo V8, but not this twin turbo. So, you know, they also put that motor, I guess it was a different version of this motor, kind of like you'd find an M550i or something like that now. And that actually sounds quite a bit better than this kind of weird flat plane crank sound that this car has. I would like to have that motor in this chassis, but like amped up. I think with the tune, they're pretty comparable on speed, but the steering on this is super heavy. I like that. It's a thick steering wheel, but it's not too thick like the new BMWs are, like almost you can't even get your hands around it, which I don't quite understand why it's gotten that big. Porsche seems to kind of get it with the thinner one, but this is perfect. This is the same steering wheel as my E92. This one's been scratched up just from her rings and stuff, so I might do like an Alcantara one, like the M Performance one. I'm sure it's easy to bolt in. This car has a normal drive mode, which I'm in now, and then it's got the M mode, and you can kind of set the throttle response, steering, and everything like that, which is a big deal back then. And it does change the character pretty good once you go to Sport and Sport Plus. It kind of gives you that verbal and the overrun, and the throttle response is quite a bit sharper, and the transmission is a lot more awake. In normal mode, when you get on it, you know, unless you use the kick down, it just kind of stays in whatever gear, and it only shifts at like 40, 200. So I thought the car was actually broken at first. When I was messing around in normal mode, I realized it has to be in Sport mode or M to kind of get over those hurdles, and Sport would be, you know, slapping it to the left on this shifter. But the paddles are real responsive. I don't feel like this transmission has been really dated in this car. The only difference is it's a 6-speed instead of an 8. Trying to think if there's anything else other kind of qualms or anything. We fixed the door lock that broke over there. Just took the door panel off and fixed that. But otherwise, this has been a really great car, and we have no reason to sell it other than it just taking up space. But it's probably worth $10,000 to $12,000. And at that point, you might as well just keep it for like friends come in town. So if you want to, you know, be my friend, you can come and drive an X5 while you're in town. So that's what we use. Like, friends come in town, they take it, and if they need a car, or it's just nice to kind of get in it maybe once a week. I almost thought about selling my Land Cruiser and just driving this every day, because there's really just nothing wrong with it. And it's, you know, it's paid for, obviously, so be a cheap daily driver, and I just really like this era of BMW. So, but that's all I really have to say about this car. It's been great. I think if you're considering something highly depreciated that's like a luxury niche SUV such as this X5M, I would buy one. I would make sure all the maintenance was recorded and they had records, etc. But I mean, man, this is a really good car, and I think as time goes on, these are going to become more and more appreciated, because this was the true first X5M they ever made. And probably a 2013, this is a 12, but like the last year one, if you could find one with lower miles, I think that would be a good daily. And if you want to just kind of keep it for fun on the side, you know, I think that would maybe probably hold its value now. So I hope you enjoyed this little kind of one take on my wife's 2012 X5M. And please, if you could, like and subscribe to the channel. And I've got a phone call coming in as I say that. But appreciate you guys watching today, and we'll see you on the next upload. Thanks. Bye-bye.